Bottled and Bond. Bottled and Bond? Is Bond in Tennessee or Kentucky? I'm the bourbon beginner, working to develop my palate and learn more about bourbon. Come along with me on this journey. No, I really didn't ask that out loud to the manager at Specs in front of a bunch of us other customers. But I was confused about what bottle and bond meant. I thought it just meant that the bourbon was 100 proof because everything I saw was bottle and bond 100 proof. So is that all it meant? Actually, if you really want to know, you have to go back to the late 1800s. And that's when buying whiskey was a real crapshoot. You might get something watered down or some kind of rot gut flavored with molasses or tobacco or iodine, or spiked even worse with some God knows what. Even maybe heard about somebody putting gasoline or kerosene.
Oh, well, hang on, you're adding kerosene?
Then in 1897, Colonel E.H. Taylor and a couple other larger distillers lobbied Congress to pass the Bottled and Bond Act. And that was really America's first consumer protection law. So now a bottle and bond liquor, and it could be any spirit. At the time, it wasn't just whiskey. This could be rum or anything could be bottled in bond. But now whiskey has to follow the specific guidelines to be labeled as bottled in bond, like these two are. And so you're asking, what are those restrictions or what are those requirements? Well, the whiskey must be a product of distillation of one season, and a season is defined as January to June or July to December. By one distiller at one location, it has to be unadulterated from its original condition and character, which means you can't add a lot of stuff to it. It has to be reduced to 50% alcohol by volume or 100 proof through use of pure water only, and bottled at the 50% ABV or the 100 proof. Now, it does have to be aged at a federally bonded warehouse under government supervision for at least 4 years. And that's one way that the government made this big deal with these distillers that they would delay the excise tax on that alcohol that was distilling. And the government thought, hey, if we do this, then we know how much alcohol they have and we'll make sure to get paid for it. They kind of made sure they would get their taxes paid. The label must identify the distiller and where it was bottled, if it was different from where it was distilled, and only spirits produced in the United States can be bonded. Now, does it guarantee better bourbon? No, not really. It's not really technically small batch or barrel proof, but the regulations, because it has to be distilled by one distiller, they can't be mixing a lot of stuff in from different years, it has to be a product of one season. It does make the distiller really rely on his expertise, and it technically it doesn't mean better bourbon, but because it's a more pure product, it kind of does elevate the quality of the bourbon, and it's worth giving it a try. So let's go to my Palate Improvement project, and I'll bring out what I've been working on over the last week, and then we'll try a new bourbon. All right. The bourbon I've been drinking all week to improve my palate is Benchmark Old Number 8, and it's a 80 proof. And this is it here. And what I'm going to drink today is the Benchmark Bonded, the bottle and bond version. So this is 80 proof and this is 100 proof. And here they are in Glencairn glasses. As you can see, it looks like the 100 proof is a little darker. It does have a little more caramel color. So let's go ahead and try the 80 proof and just see how that tastes. Get some of that caramel sweetness. It's okay. Maybe a little vanilla. Let's try it over ice. Excuse me. It's pretty good. So now let's try the Bottled in Bond, the 100 proof. So this is what I'm going to be drinking for the next week. I'll be drinking this every night and working to improve my palate. So let's kind of take it a sniff. It smells actually a little sweeter than the 80 proof, but I think it's probably going to have more alcohol in it, so I'm kind of steeling myself for that. Yeah, it does have more alcohol. It feels thicker. It does feel like a more viscous and a stronger flavor. Yeah, I think it's a stronger caramel flavor. Let's put a little over ice. I'm not really tasting any not really tasting any vanilla. It is stronger, but I am tasting that caramel flavor. So I think I'm going to enjoy this week drinking this guy. So what I'll do is I'll be drinking this over the course of the week, and then come back next week. We'll do a tasting again of the bonded, and then we're going to move up to the full proof benchmark. So we'll go from 80 to 100, then to 125, and just kind of stepping up and just see how the taste changes from one to the other. So come back with me next week. Leave a comment if you'd like. If you'd like to do this with me, that's great. Love to have you do the same kind of bourbon tasting, palate building process. And you don't have to use the same bourbon I'm using. You could use a different bourbon, whatever you have handy. But just drink a bourbon, taste it, drink it over the course of a week, and then do another tasting and just see if your palate's improving or if you're tasting different flavors in the bourbon. So come back with me next week. And until then, enjoy.